Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we will share the screen here. Share. There we go. January 19th in Asia. See what we have today. Okay. Our first topic is our only topic as it's long. So it's entitled Structuring Your Daily Practice Session. Starts with a quote from Yoga Swami here. When you go on a pilgrimage, it directs the mind towards God, but remember, God is within. Thank you, Yoga Swami. God is not just without, at the destination of our pilgrimage. First section is entitled Three Forms of Worship, and draws from the keynote. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect is certainly a commonly used phrase. Normally, it refers to how we can acquire a skill that we do not have. For example, let's say we type 20 words a minute with 2 index fingers. We make a decision to improve that skill and attend a typing class for 6 months, practicing every day. We mastered the skill of typing with all 10 fingers without looking at the keyboard at an average speed of 50 words a minute. Our practice made our typing more perfect. When this concept is applied to efforts in our spiritual life, it takes on a different meaning. This is because our inner essence, our soul nature, is already perfect. Our practice or self-effort is to bring that inner perfection into our outer intellectual, emotional, and instinctive nature. Thus, we could modify the adage to be. What do you think the new adage could be? It's a variation on practice makes perfect. Practice manifests perfection. So it doesn't make it, it's manifesting the perfection that's within us, in our outer nature. Swami Ranganathananda, 1908 to 2005, of the Ramakrishna Math Mission, expressed this beautifully in an article we published in 1999 on medical ethics. He stated that the Hindu view of man is that his essential real nature is the Atman or self, which is immortal, self-luminous, the source of all power, joy, and glory. Everything that helps in the manifestation of that divinity, everything that helps in the manifestation of the divinity of the soul is beneficial and moral, and everything that obstructs this inner unfoldment is harmful and immoral. Very nice way of putting it. So, manifestation of the divinity of the soul. Gurudeva gave a succinct description of our divine nature. Deep inside, we are perfect this very moment, and we have only to discover and live up to this perfection to be whole. We have taken birth in a physical body to grow and evolve into our divine potential. We are already one with God. Our religion contains the knowledge of how to realize this oneness and not create unwanted experiences along the way. Here is an analogy to illustrate. Imagine a pond of water with gold nuggets at the bottom. If either the surface of the pond has ripples due to a wind or the pond itself is cloudy due to the presence of mud, the gold nuggets at the bottom of the pond cannot be seen from above. The ripples on the surface are the agitated intellect. The cloudy water is an impure subconscious mind, and the gold nuggets at the bottom are our soul nature. To experience our soul nature, we need to have a quiet intellect and a pure subconscious. In giving talks on the idea of how we can grow and evolve into our divine potential, I frequently use the analogy of dance. I ask the audience, what is most needed for a youth to become good at Hindu classical dance? Invariably, many state the answer that I have in mind: practice. It always works. Any audience, you ask this question and majority of people will speak out and say practice. Reading books about dance won't make you a good dancer, nor will attending classes without practicing what you have learned. Regular practice is needed to make the body limber and master the many movements, positions, gestures, and expressions. Likewise, to grow and evolve into our divine potential, to manifest our inner perfection in our outer intellectual and instinctive nature, requires regular practice. So this part of the presentation talks about 3 forms of worship. So what are the 3 forms of worship that Gurudeva gives us? Core practice that I recommend focusing on first is daily worship in the home shrine, preferably before dawn. Every Hindu home should have a place of worship. It may be as simple as a shelf with pictures of God, or it can be an entire room dedicated to worship and meditation. Many families have a spiritual guide or guru and display his or her picture in the shrine. If you are living away from home, such as at a university, a single photo may have to do. In the sacred space, we light a lamp, ring a bell, and pray daily. The most devout hold a formal worship ritual, or Atmarta Puja. This regular daily worship is called Upasana. Residents go to the shrine for blessings before leaving for work or school. At other times, one may sit in the shrine to pray, chant the names of God, sing devotional songs, read from scripture, or meditate. The home shrine is also an excellent place to recenter oneself through prayer and reflection when emotionally upset. Second expression of Hindu worship is Utsava, holy days, observing the same day each week as a holy day and celebrating the major festival days through the year. On their weekly holy day, the family clean and decorate the home altar, attend the nearby temple, and observe a fast. To make such weekly visits practical, Hindus seek to live within a day's journey of a temple. Those who don't live close enough to a temple to visit weekly go as often as they can and do their best to at least attend the major festivals. The temple is a sacred building revered as the home of God. This is because of its mystical architecture, concentration, and the continuous daily worship or puja performed thereafter. Puja is performed by qualified priests invoking the deity by chanting Sanskrit verses, scripture, making successive offerings which conclude with arati, waving of an oil lamp in front of the deity while bells are rung loudly. So of course we know all that. But it's in the publisher's desk. The deity image or murti is especially sacred. It is through the murti that the presence and power of the deity is felt by devotees who attend the puja for blessings and grace. Third expression of Hindu worship is pilgrimage or tirtha yatra. At least once each year, a journey is made for darshan of holy persons, temples, and places, ideally away from one's local area. During this sojourn, gods, and gurus become the singular focus of life. All worldly matters are set aside. This pilgrimage provides a complete break from one's usual day-to-day concerns. Special prayers are kept in mind, and penance of some form or sacrifice is part of the process. Actually, the preparation is as important as the pilgrimage itself. The days and weeks before a Tirtha Yatra, devotees perform spiritual disciplines, such as decreasing the intake of heavier foods while increasing lighter foods, fasting 1 day a week, doing japa, reading from scripture each night before sleep, and on weekends doubling the time usually spent in religious practices. These three forms of worship, daily puja, holy days, and pilgrimage, help us to manifest our inner perfection in our outer nature, which is the goal. So, those three practices, of course, are in the Pancha nitya karmas, 5 permanent practices. Oh, the question is, what are the 2 remaining practices in the Pancha nitya karmas? A 4th aspect of Hinduism that can be embraced as a core practice is dharma, or virtuous living. Living an unselfish life of duty and good conduct, which includes atoning for misconduct. One learns to be selfless by thinking of others first, being respectful to parents, elders, and swamis, following divine law, especially ahimsa, which is mental, emotional, and physical non-injuriousness toward all beings. These concepts of dharma, important for parents to strongly place in their children's minds before their teen years, while their minds still readily accept ideas from their parents. Important focus for upholding dharma is to uphold the 10 ethical restraints, or yamas. And we'll skip over this topic as our focus is more on the 3 forms of worship. Our 5th practice is the observance of traditional rites of passage, called samskaras. At these crucial ceremonies, an individual receives the blessings of gods, and guru, family, and community as he or she commences a new phase of life. Again, we will skip over this topic as our focus is more on the 3 forms of worship. So samskaras, for those who don't recall, boy, they look cold, don't they? This is Paramath Niketan in Rishikesh there, all the kids in the school. Samskara means an impression. So in its broadest sense, it's any impression put into the subconscious mind. So that's its broadest meaning, samskaras, subconscious impressions. But samskara here is a specific type of subconscious impression, the impression from a religious ceremony at a psychological point in time, such as starting school, starting to study the Vedas, getting married. These 5 practices are referred to as the Pancha nitya karmas, 5 eternal practices by Gurudeva, who notes. We could say that they are an amalgam of all the counsel of the Vedas and Agamas to guide daily and yearly religious life. These 5 obligatory religious practices are simple and applicable for all. Study them and put them into practice in your own life. So this is like a basic level of a well-rounded practice, these 5 nitya karmas. So to wrap up, asking you the question, what are the Pancha nitya karmas in Sanskrit and English? So 3 forms of worship first, then the other 2. Upasana is worship. Utsava, holy days. Tirthayatra, pilgrimage. Dharma, virtuous living. Samskaras, sacraments. These 5 duties faithfully performed are powerful tools to help us grow and evolve into our divine potential. Hinduism is not enough to just be or to wait for grace. The most devout know that each life on earth is an opportunity for advancement. Therefore, take advantage of the many tools their faith provides. Following these 5 traditional observances brings forth, day by day, the perfection that lies waiting within each of us. Okay, that's our Pancha karmas. The next one is a 10-minute daily religious workout. In April 2013, we held a seminar in Austin with a group of 13 leaders of the Hindu Students Association. The group is comprised of university students and recent graduates and has branches at a number of universities, mainly in Texas. So this was in 2013. I'm not sure how active they are today. These groups come and go. Format for the seminar is that a few months before the event, the participants send in questions they would like answered during the classes. We then prepare customized material to respond to the questions. Format works well as it greatly increases the likelihood that what we present is relevant to the students' interests. So that's my ivory comparison. You've probably heard it. In academia, professors are described as living in an ivory tower, which means their concerns are not the concerns of the rest of society. They're kind of protected from society and able to focus on specific ideas in their field and develop them. So monks live in an ivory cave, I like to say. So we have our own concerns, which have nothing to do with the concerns of today's university students. So it's good to get the questions from the students so that what we talk about is of interest to them. One of the questions they asked was, what is the biggest barrier you see for modern Hindus? Are the challenges different depending on geography, or are they the same since the world is becoming more westernized? Biggest barrier for modern Hindus. Thoughtful question. One of the answers I gave to this question was the fact that so many Hindus do not have a daily practice that they consistently follow. The point was well taken by the group, a few of them committing on the spot to taking up a regular daily practice. Struck me that this idea is an important one to share more broadly, so in the last few days I wrote up an article on it which I would like to share. It is entitled, A 10-Minute Spiritual Workout. Nowadays, the idea of performing a daily physical workout is widespread. Nearly everyone appreciates the need to stay fit and healthy for a productive, contented life. 3 types of exercise are recommended: endurance, flexibility, and strength. Each has specific benefits. Endurance activities such as walking, running, and swimming increase vitality and keep the heart, lungs, and circulatory system healthy. Flexibility activities such as hatha yoga, tai chi, and dancing keep the muscles relaxed and the joints mobile. Strength activities such as calisthenics, weight resistance exercises, and climbing stairs build muscle tissue, and keep the skeletal system strong. So, 3 types of activities, 3 types of benefits. Taking care of our physical body is essential, but for optimum performance in life, all dimensions of our being need attention. Physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. Each is important and deserves its share of attention. Of the 3, the spiritual or superconscious dimension is typically the most neglected. That's why the photo is smaller. Even though it is the core of our being, our real identity. Gurudeva wrote, we have to adjust our subconscious to the idea that we are a superconscious being, rather than an instinctive being or an intellectual being driven by the impulses of the 5 senses. Awareness is the core of us. Nice looking yogi. We maintain physical health through exercises. We nourish our intellectual nature through learning new things all through life, expanding and strengthening our mental abilities. The emotional nature is sustained by tending closely to interpersonal relations, practicing surrender and acceptance by striving to build good character qualities, serving others and living a balanced life. We give time to our spiritual nature by performing daily religious activities. I like to call this a spiritual workout. During this time, we are reminded that life's inner purpose is to make spiritual progress, moving forward toward the ultimate goal of experiencing God, self-realization, and subsequent moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth. It is not so much a matter of exercising our spiritual nature as it is taking time to experience it. Scripture Tirumandaram by Siddhar Tirumula shares, step by step, practice withdrawal of the mind and look inward. One by one, you will witness the myriad good things within. Now and here below, you may meet the Lord, for whom the ancient Vedas still searches everywhere. Meaning the Vedas can describe, but they can't actually experience God. Generally, we are so wrapped up in our outer nature that we are hardly aware of our true glorious inner reality. This can go on life after life, as it does for many people who only begin to think of greater realities when nearing the point of death. The benefits of such times of quiet retreat from life's hustle and bustle are underrated and overlooked, as life in the 21st century becomes more and more hectic and externally demanding. Many Orthodox families living in India still manage to reserve time for their spiritual being by performing an early morning puja in their home shrine, followed by repetition of a mantra while counting on japa beads. The predominant trend in India and other countries, however, is that fewer and fewer families follow such disciplines. Still true today. Sitting with me, so many say the same thing. We just can't seem to find the time for puja, japa, or meditation. Time devoted to employment, transportation, eating, entertainment, physical exercise, and spending time with family and friends takes up the whole day. The traditional 1-hour daily religious workout is proving to be too long, and because the benefits are not well understood, it is commonly skipped altogether. Gurudeva spoke of those benefits. As a result of your daily religious practices, you will be able to brave the forces of the external world without being disturbed by them and fulfill your dharma in whatever walk of life you have chosen. Because your daily sadhana has regulated your nerve system, the quality of your work in the world will improve, and your mood in performing it will be confident and serene. Nicely describing the benefits there. So what's the solution? I focus primarily on the youth, for their patterns are not too rigid to change. I devised a 10-minute program consisting of 4 activities that can be performed whenever time is available. Hopefully, the brevity and flexibility of the time of day, along with a clear sense of the spiritual benefits, will motivate students to adopt this workout, or equally as good, customize a routine of their own. So this is a sample. If someone's of another sampradaya, we'll give them an idea, but they can create their own. I suggest this practice be taken up around age 15 and maintained throughout high school and university. So why 15? Well, if they're younger, they may not be disciplined enough to sustain it. So that creates a negative samskara. You don't want children to start a practice or receive an initiation and then drop the practice. Speaking of samskaras, that's a big negative one, so we want to avoid that. So it's good to wait till they're old enough to be disciplined enough to sustain it, which is around age 15, depends on the youth, of course. And the idea also is age 15, in the US we call it high school, so 10th, 11th, 12th grade. After the 12th grade, you go to university, and many times you're moving away from home. So the idea is to form a habit before you move away to the university. University is no time to form a new religious practice habit. You need it in place first. And then after schooling, it is hoped that those serious about their spiritual life will increase their workout to half an hour. Spiritual workout consists of 4 activities. What are they? That's the question to you. See if you remember. So the idea here, I didn't really say it, I should have said it, is this is a bigger commitment than the Pancha nitya karmas. It fits on top of the Pancha nitya karmas. Pancha nitya karmas, you can just go in the shrine room and say Om Sivaya and leave. You did your daily worship. But this is saying, no, you got to stay there for 10 minutes. Spiritual workout consists of 4 activities: worship, introspection, affirmation, and study. The worship portion involves repeating a mantra to a chosen deity or reciting 9 or more names of the deity, offering grains of rice to a murti or picture with each repetition or name. For example, if worshipping Lord Ganesha, one might intone the mantra Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, or another of your choice or lineage. Alternately, a short bhajan can be sung while looking at the deity's picture or murti. Devote 2 minutes to this simple expression of reverence and gratitude. The introspection portion consists of chanting the mantra Om 9 times with eyes closed. For Om Japa to be effective, the mantra must be pronounced correctly. The first syllable is Ah, pronounced as the English word Ah, but prolonged. Ah. Second syllable is oo as in roof, pronounced oo but prolonged, oo. The third syllable is pronounced with the front teeth gently touching and the sound prolonged. Each repetition is sounded for about 7 seconds, with 2 seconds on ah, 2 seconds on oo, and 3 seconds on with a silence of about 2 seconds before the next repetition. 3 syllables are run together. Ah. We all know how to do that. On the first syllable, ah, we feel the solar plexus and chest vibrating. On the second syllable, oo, the throat vibrates, and the third syllable, vibrates the top of the head, and we devote 2 minutes to this. Affirmations are statements repeated to oneself to place specific impressions in our subconscious mind to produce positive results in the future. Another form of samskaras, affirmations. This portion of the workout consists of repeating 9 times the affirmation, I'm all right now. 2 other affirmations that can be used are, all my needs will always be met, and I can, I will, I am able to accomplish what I plan. I wondered how that was going to fit on this line there. The threefold key to effectively utilizing affirmations is keep the mind focused on the meaning of what you are saying. Hold in your mind a visualization that shows the result you want to achieve, and feel in the present how you will feel later when you have achieved what the affirmation describes. So that's think, visualize, feel. Devote 1 minute to affirmations. Study portion consists of reading a sacred Hindu text that provides you new knowledge and insight. It is important to choose a work that you find clear and inspiring, avoiding those that seem obscure or technical. Devote 5 minutes to this. What are the benefits of these 4 religious practices? And that's the question to you. What do you think are the benefits of each of these 4 religious practices? Just like the 3 forms of exercise, each practice has a different benefit. The benefit of the worship portion is that it increases our devotion to the deity, enhancing our relationship with him or her. It is a natural first step toward eventually performing a full rite of worship. Atmarta puja increases devotion. The introspection practice of chanting Om produces a calming effect on the mind and raises our energies into the more spiritual part of the mind, moving you into higher chakras, our intuitive nature. Provides a natural first step toward the deeper practices of meditation, such as regulating our breath, pranayama, withdrawing energy from the senses, pratyahara, focusing the thought process, dharana, leading to experiencing our inner soul nature, jhana and samadhi. Repeating an affirmation each day helps us become more positive and self-confident, making us more successful in everything we do. Affirmations are also a great antidote to worry. The study of sacred texts increases knowledge of our faith and analyzes insights. Okay, that's the next one. The study of sacred texts increases knowledge of our faith and catalyzes insights into Hindu philosophy and practices. Increases knowledge. It is important to keep in mind that the amount of spiritual advancement we make toward our ultimate goal of experiencing God, self-realization, and the subsequent liberation from the cycle of rebirth or moksha is directly related to the amount of time we devote to religious practices. And that's in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. For those who have strong dedication, samadhi is near. Whether one's practice is mild, medium, or intense also makes a difference. Patanjali is indicating that spiritual progress is not just based on how much time we devote to our religious practices, but also on how much dedication, energy, or effort we put into it. His 3rd verse on this topic states, Samadhi may also come through devotion to Ishvara. This means that effort and dedication can be supplemented by the blessings or grace we receive due to our intense devotion to God. 3rd section describes the concept of sadhana and the performance of a daily vigil. It's explained by Gurudeva in the Master Course Trilogy. So this is even more advanced, spending more time than 10 minutes. Our Himalayan Academy Lexicon defines sadhana as Effective means of attainment, self-effort, spiritual discipline, the way. Religious or spiritual disciplines such as puja, yoga, meditation, japa, fasting, and austerity. The idea of achieving an attainment is an important aspect of the concept of sadhana. In other words, it is not referring to an occasional spiritual practice, but rather one that is done regularly. Therefore, sadhana can also be described as a steady and persevering practice of a method or exercise prescribed for spiritual ends. So we don't skip it for a couple of days and come back, skip it again. A steady and persevering practice of a method or exercise prescribed for spiritual ends. The term sadhana marga, coined by Yoga Swami, conveys the nature of the seriousness of the practice of sadhana. Our lexicon defines sadhana marga as a path of intense effort, spiritual discipline, and consistent inner transformation, as opposed to theoretical and intellectual learning. The effect of sadhana is the building of willpower and the building of faith and confidence in oneself and in God, gods, and Guru. Sadhana harnesses and transmutes the instinctive intellectual nature, allowing progressive spiritual unfoldment into the superconscious realizations and innate abilities of the soul. Gurudeva explains how the daily vigil relates to sadhana. To give sadhana a place in your life, you must establish a daily vigil. That's Gurudeva. Must. You must establish a daily vigil. The ideal time is in early morning, just after bathing, before you start to think about the activities of the day and your various responsibilities and plans. So once you start thinking about all of that, if you try and do sadhana afterwards, you have to quiet all of that down. It can take time, but if you do your sadhana before you turn on that process, then you don't have to take time to quiet it down. It hasn't started yet. A vigil held at the same time every day is an excellent way to budget the necessary time for sadhana in our modern times, in our busy modern times. Here is the traditional pattern. Each day, hundreds of millions of Hindus awaken for the last fifth of the night, bathed on fresh clothing, apply sectarian marks called tilaka, sit in a clean, quiet place for religious disciplines. Facing east or north, the devotional puja rites of bhakti yoga are performed. Hatha yoga, hymn singing, japa, and chanting are often included. Then follow scriptural study and meditation and listening to the sound current, contemplating the moon-like inner light. The duly initiated practice advanced yogas, but only as directed by their guru. Through the day, karma yoga, selfless religious service, is performed at every opportunity. Besides these yogas of doing, Hindus practice the central yoga of being, living a joyful, positive, harmonious life. Gurudeva describes the concept of a sadhana vrata in chapter 13, Emerging with Shiva. Yes, sadhana begins in the home and it begins with you. It must be practiced regularly at the same time each day, not 2 hours one day, 1 hour the next, and then forgetting about it for 3 or 4 days, because you are too busy with external affairs, but every day at the same time. Meeting this appointment with yourself is in itself a sadhana. In the technological age, nearly everyone finds it difficult to set aside 1 hour in which to perform sadhana. This is why in your sadhana vrata or vow, you promise to dedicate only half an hour. In the agricultural era, it was easy to find time to perform sadhana 2 to 3 hours a day. Why? The demands of external life were not as great as they are now in our technological age. Half an hour a day, therefore, is the amount of time we dedicate for our sadhana. And we found in the 1982 book 2 of the Master Course, the text Gurudeva wrote for taking a sadhana vrata. made a few updates and incorporated it into the new Master Course study. This is how it reads. I invoke Lord Ganesha's blessings to proceed with this sacred vrata. In the inner presence of God Shiva and all the gods and devas, I vow to set aside 1/2 hour a day at the same time, Monday through Friday, for regular conscientious personal worship and sadhana. Should this appointment be missed, that an additional ½ hour shall be observed within a 24-hour period as a penance. During the vigil, I vow to perform Ganesha Puja, Om chanting, and the assigned readings. May Lord Shiva bless me and give me the strength to proceed on the path of sadhana toward his holy feet. So as we know, we don't stop with ½ an hour, but that's the intermediate step between 10 minutes and the next one. For those who are formal shishya, the vrata taken is for a full 1 hour vigil as described in the Nadinada Sutras, verses 21 and 22. Worshippers of Shiva perform a 1 hour daily vigil, ideally before sunrise in a clean, quiet place after bathing and donning fresh clothing and holy ash. This vigil is optional on weekends and when traveling or ill. Om. Worshippers of Shiva during their daily sadhana vigil attend or conduct puja, chant the Guru mantra and 100 repetitions of their mantra, study scripture, and perform hatha yoga, concentration, and meditation. Next, we can look at performing a vigil during the sannyasa ashrama. First, let's review a few slides from the keynote on the 4 stages of life. Gurudeva considered that in modern times, each ashrama is a 24-year period, applying equally to men and women. Brahmacharya, first 24 years of life. Grahasta, from age 24 to 48. Vanaprastha, from age 48 to 72. And sannyasa ashrama, from age 72 onward. Parameters of the sannyasa ashrama have also been widened. Sannyasi or sannyasins are wanderers. Small percentage of modern Hindus follow the model of taking up sannyasa after retirement, renouncing the world and wandering among the thousands of itinerant sadhus of India, many of whom took up the mendicant path in their 20s and 30s. This pattern of elders taking up sannyasa is okay for single people, widows and widowers, and it still works in parts of India where society honors and cares for such holy men and women. But in most areas of the world, it is neither accepted nor understood. So you couldn't go live in a forest in Singapore for very long. But in Haridwar, Rishikesh, you can. It still works, and you can find places to give you a meal a day and take care of your medical needs. But basically, they can only handle a few people in North India. Number of Hindus turning age 72 have asked me what they should do differently in the years ahead. The recommendation I give, of course, assumes they are no longer working. So basically, or working for money, to be more precise. Sannyasa ashrama doesn't start till you're no longer working for money. Some people work because they enjoy working. They have their own business and they just enjoy going in, work for a few hours, and come home. That's okay, that can count as sannyasa ashrama, but if you're still trying to save money for retirement, etc., you're not yet in the sannyasa ashrama, no matter how old you are. So a number of Hindus ask me what they should do differently. I've just turned 72, or I'm about to turn 72, what should I do? How would you answer that question? My advice is to simply intensify whatever religious practices they are already observing. If you perform a daily puja for 30 minutes, increase it to an hour. If you meditate daily for ½ an hour, increase it to an hour. If you go on pilgrimage for 2 weeks once a year, increase it to a month. Once these changes have become a firm habit, one would naturally be inclined to devote even more time to religious practices. After age 72, as the physical forces wane, is the time to turn within and withdraw from worldly involvement. Gurudeva gave this helpful description of the third and fourth ashramas for modern times. It is during the latter stages of life that family devotees have the opportunity to intensify their sadhana and give back to society of their experience. Their knowledge and their wisdom gained through the first two ashramas. The Vanaprastha ashrama, age 48 to 72, is a very important stage of life because that is the time when you can inspire excellence in the brahmacharya students and in the families to see that their life goes along as it should. Later, the sannyasa ashrama, beginning at 72, is the time to enjoy and deepen whatever realizations you have had along the way. Following the principle given for the sannyasa ashrama of doubling the amount of time we have been putting into our sadhana, we could automatically initially increase the vigil from 1 to 2 hours. So we have a few shishya who have done that, 2 hours. We even have some who do more than 2 hours every day, every weekday. Fourth section gives more comments from Gurudeva on the Sadhana Marga. Let's see what he says here. My Satguru Shiva Yoga Swami spoke of Saivism as the Sadhana Marga, path of striving, explaining that it is a religion not only to be studied but also to be lived. See God everywhere. This is practice. First do it intellectually, then you will know it. Yoga Swami taught that much knowledge comes through learning to interpret and understand the experiences of life. To avoid the sadhana marga is to avoid understanding the challenges of life. We must not fail to realize that each challenge is brought to us by our own actions of the past. Yes, our actions in the past have generated our life's experiences today. All Hindus accept karma and reincarnation intellectually, but the concepts are not active in their lives until they accept the responsibilities of their own actions and the experiences that follow. In doing so, no blame can fall upon another. It is all our own doing. This is the sadhana marga, the path to perfection. Sadhana marga leads us to the yoga pada quite naturally, but people don't study yoga. They are not taught yoga. They are taught sadhana. And if they don't perform it themselves, and no one can do it for them, they will never have a grip strong enough over their instinctive mind and intellectual mind to come onto the yoga marga, no matter how much they know about yoga. So we don't learn yoga, we mature into it. We don't learn meditation, we awaken into it. You can teach meditation, you can teach yoga, but it's all just words unless the individual is mature and awake on the inside. To be awake on the inside means waking up early in the morning. You woke up early this morning. It may have been difficult, but you got the body up, you got the emotions up, you got the mind up, and your instinctive mind did not want to do all that, did it? No, spiritual life is a 24-hour-a-day vigil. As all my close devotees are realizing, who've taken the vrata of 365 Nandinada Sutras. It means going to bed at night early so you can get up in the morning early. It means studying the teachings before you go to bed so that you can go into the inner planes in absolute control. It means in the morning reading from my trilogy, Dancing with Shiva, Living with Shiva, and Merging with Shiva, to prepare yourself to face the day, to be a strong person and move the forces of the world. And that completes our material, and we went way over time. But I thought you'd enjoy it. Basically, it's showing the basic progressions from, might as well quit first, from Pancha nitya karmas to adding to that 10-minute a day vigil, expanding that to 30 minutes a day, eventually expanding that to an hour a day, and then in retirement, expanding it even more as your lifestyle permits. Om